You know, if you've ever watched someone you care about, or maybe even yourself, go through the whole mental health medication shuffle, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's this endless cycle, right? You try medication, you wait 6 weeks, you deal with all these side effects, and then nothing. It doesn't work. So you try another one. It honestly feels like you're just throwing darts at a board in a pitch black room.
But what if? What if we could just flip the lights on? What if we could use a person's own unique biology to figure out which dart is going to hit the bullseye, maybe even on the very first try? Okay, we've got to get into this, because this isn't some far-off dream. This is a new reality that is literally unfolding as we speak.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the old model, then dive into this new paradigm. We'll break down the 3 key pillars it's built on, and finally, what this all means for the future of mental health care. Simple as that.
All right, section 1, the old model, one size fits none. You know, to really get where we're going, we first have to understand where we've been. For a long, long time, psychiatry relied on a model that, well, it was the best we had, but it came with a huge fundamental flaw.
So for decades, the whole system worked by grouping people based on symptom checklists. You know, you go to the doctor, you say, I have a low mood, I'm tired all the time, I can't find joy in anything. Boom, you get a label, major depressive disorder. And with that label comes the standard one-size-fits-all treatment. It was a clear, step-by-step process.
Okay, and this is the absolute key. This is the whole problem. We now know for a fact that 2 people with the exact same symptoms on paper can be having completely different things going on under the hood, biologically speaking. I mean, one person's depression might be fueled by inflammation, while another's is caused by a glitch in a brain circuit. So giving them both the same standard antidepressant, it's like trying to unlock your front door with your car key. The keyhole looks kind of the same, but it's just never going to work. For strategists,
And that brings us to section 2, a new paradigm. Introducing precision psychiatry. So because of that huge problem we just talked about, the entire field is making this massive pivot. We're finally moving away from just labeling symptoms to actually understanding the individual.
So what is precision psychiatry? Well, it basically flips the old model completely on its head. Instead of starting with a generic diagnosis, it starts with you. It looks at your personal data. We're talking your genes, your brain's unique wiring, even your lifestyle. And it builds a treatment plan specifically for you, from the ground up. It's all about finding the right key for your specific lock.
And I want to be really clear about this. This is not science fiction. This isn't some futuristic TED talk about what might happen in 2050. No way. For those of us who have been following the science, this is a huge moment. These tools are being used right now in clinics and major studies. We have officially crossed the line from guesswork into the era of personalized science. This is a big deal.
Milestone for social smarts.
okay, section 3, the 3 pillars of you. This is the data that defines your care. So, how does this all actually work? What's the framework behind it? Well, it all comes down to 3 foundational pillars of data. Think of them as 3 different layers of information about you. When you put them together, they create this incredibly detailed map that can guide your treatment. So what are they? First, your genetic blueprint. Second, your brain signature. And third, and this is the one that almost nobody is talking about yet, your digital footprint. Each of these holds a totally different piece of the puzzle. So let's explore them, one by one.
All right, pillar number 1, your genetic blueprint. Let's start here because it's probably the most straightforward and practical piece of the puzzle. This isn't about changing your DNA or anything scary like that. Nope, this is just about reading the instruction manual you were born with. Specifically, the pages that explain how your body processes medications.
It's amazing, really. A simple cheek swab, that's it, can tell your doctor which of 4 metabolizer types you are for a certain drug. So, for example, if you're what's called an ultra-rapid metabolizer, a normal dose of a medication might just blow right through your system before it can even do its job. You'd feel absolutely nothing. But on the flip side, if you're a poor metabolizer, that same exact dose could build up in your body and cause some really nasty side effects. Just knowing that one piece of information up front can save so much time and avoid so much unnecessary risk. But wait, it gets even cooler. We can go deeper than that. There's something called a polygenic risk score, or PRS. This is where scientists look at thousands, literally thousands of tiny genetic markers and combine them into a single score. The best way to think about it is like a weather forecast for your brain. It can actually predict how likely you are to respond to a certain medication. This gives doctors an incredible strategic advantage, helping them pick the treatment path that has the best chance of working from the get-go.
for explorers, for strategists. Okay, on to pillar number 2, your brain signature. So beyond your DNA, which is pretty much set, we can actually get a real-time snapshot of your brain activity. And we do it using a tool that's actually been around forever, but it's being used in a totally new way. It's called an EEG.
And here's a wild story that shows just how powerful this is. There was this huge study called EMBARK, and what they found is just mind-blowing. Using EEG, they discovered this hidden subgroup of people, and this group's brain signature predicted something incredible. They would actually get worse on a major antidepressant, but they'd get better on a sugar pill, a placebo. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. Their biology was literally wired to react in the complete opposite way. Can you imagine knowing that before you ever swallow a single pill?
All right, that brings us to our third and final pillar. And this is the one you are literally creating right now as you watch this. It's your digital footprint. There's this whole new field of science called digital phenotyping, and it's all about finding real, objective signals about your mental health hidden in the data from the phone in your pocket or the watch on your wrist.
I know it sounds a little bit like science fiction, but it's really just about patterns and data. For instance, your phone can passively track your typing speed. If it suddenly gets way faster, that can actually be an early predictor of a manic episode. Or your phone's GPS data can show that you're staying home a lot more, which is a classic sign of social withdrawal and depression. And look, the goal here isn't to spy on people, not at all. It's about using this passive objective data to get an early warning, sometimes long before a person even realizes something is wrong. For anyone who's ever tried to track their own moves or symptoms, you know how hard that is. This could be an absolute game changer for social smarts, for settlers. Okay, let's head into our final section, the future of care, putting it all together. So let's recap. We've got genetics, we've got brain activity, and we've got all this digital data. That's 3 huge, incredibly complex streams of information. So the big question is, how on earth is a single doctor supposed to make sense of all of that? Well, the short answer is, they don't. A machine does. This is the perfect, tailor-made job for artificial intelligence. AI algorithms are built to do exactly this: sift through billions of data points, spot those hidden patterns we talked about, and turn all that complicated noise into one single, clear recommendation. Basically, it says, for this unique person, this treatment has the highest chance of working. It's all about playing the odds in your favor.
And again, this is not just a theory. The proof is right there in the data. In a massive study of almost 2,000 veterans, the group that got treatment guided by their genetics were 28% more likely to actually reach remission from their depression. Let me say that again, 28%. That's more than 1 out of every 4 people who got better who might have been stuck in that trial and error cycle otherwise. That is a huge, huge win.
So here's the bottom line. You now get it. You understand the fundamental blueprint for the future of mental health care. By weaving together these 3 pillars, your genetics, your brain, and your digital life, we are finally building a system based on objective science instead of just subjective guesswork. And just by watching this, you're now in the know about one of the single biggest revolutions happening in medicine today.
Okay, but let's be realistic. Like with any powerful new tech, there are some really big, important questions we have to answer. Things like, how do we protect everyone's data and privacy? How do we make sure this isn't just a tool for the rich, but that everyone has access to it? And maybe the most important question of all, how do we use all this incredible data without ever forgetting that we're talking about a whole, complex human being, not just a set of data points? These are the real challenges that have to be solved as we move forward.
And really, that leads us to the next great frontier. Because all this biological code, it's incredibly powerful, but it's not the whole story, is it? The next real revolution, the next big leap, will be figuring out how to perfectly combine all of this high-tech biological data with the most important data there is, a person's life story, their culture, their experiences, their hopes. So the question becomes, how do we integrate the data with the soul?
Look, there are so many people out there who feel completely and utterly stuck in that old trial and error system. And they really deserve to know that this new, more hopeful future isn't just some pipe dream. It's actually starting to happen right now. So if you got something out of this, please share it with someone. Just letting one person know that there's a real science-backed reason to be hopeful, well, that might just be the most important thing they hear all day. Share this with someone for Social Smarts.
If this touched your heart, please subscribe, like, and share it with your family. Save this for more meaningful content ahead.